I'm going to be going over at a very, very high overview. So we won't get into the individual customization. I won't be having you all follow along with me. Um, but I'll go through and explain everything bit by bit. There's some advanced features that we now have available that a lot of people have been asking for. And with that complexity comes a lot more advanced training and coaching needed for it. So I'll leave that up to your market center tech trainer or your regional tech trainer in your office, and they'll be happy to help you out with it. I'll also be giving my email out as well. So if you have any questions or need anything from me, you can reach out. We've got 76 participants so far, so I may regret that at some point, but we will go ahead and get started. So I'm going to share my screen here with you all. There we go. And can you all see my screen? Shake your head, scream, yell. I can't hear you, so I don't care if you yell. Very good. All right. I see some reactions there. So this is the newest update that we have for Command as our agent sites. I know it's been something that a lot of people have been asking for quite a while, and now we have it here. So the first thing that you need to do in order to get to the new site is we have to go to our consumer tab here within Command. And if you can't ever read what these hieroglyphics mean over here, don't worry, I can't either. You can just click on the red KW in the upper left, and that puts a name next to everything. So we can click on consumer over here. And that brings us right to where we're at now. So if you have not yet updated your agent site, that's a-okay. You can do it today, you can do it tomorrow, you can do it whenever you'd like to. One word of warning though, and it will tell you when you walk through that process that it will remove any landing pages and any custom pages that you already have created. So that is one thing to be aware of. You can recreate them in the new agent site experience, and I actually recommend it because it looks pretty great. Um, but do know that it will disappear in the very beginning. And I've got an article here that I'll be sharing in the chat, and Brett will as well. But this will walk you through exactly what to expect when upgrading to your new agent site. So your screen, if you have not yet updated, is going to look a little bit different. This is really what it's going to look like. You will have the option to upgrade the site. It'll give you the nice warning saying it will remove any landing pages or custom pages you already have. You'll confirm your domain, and it'll walk you right through it there. So once you do that, it will bring you to, just get this floating meeting control out of the way. It will look a lot like this. And another thing that you'll always want to do and you want to check on every once in a while is your marketing profile. So we have a spot within Command where anything you update inside of there will push to everything that's public facing within KW. And that's going to be your marketing profile. It's where you change your headshot. It's where you change the number you want to be reached out on, your email, all that information. And to access that, we go through settings. So I'll do that real quick because this is a question I get pretty often. To change anything inside of your marketing profile, you just click on your name in the upper right-hand corner. And then we go to settings. I know there's two other profile options right there. We're going to ignore those ones. Those are for internal stuff. And we're going to go to settings. Once I go into my settings, we can see here on the left-hand side, we have connect settings. So if I click on there, we've got the single only option of marketing profile. So if we click on marketing profile, that will bring up all of your information that you can update. And this pushes to your agent site automatically. It does it now with the old site experience as well as the new one as well. So anytime you need to update this information, always the marketing profile. And you want to be sure that this is clicked on as well. This is where you can upload your photo, your headshot, your team logo, your name, your information. And you'll want to make sure that this information is filled in. Otherwise, some smart plans may not execute, but that's going to be a different conversation. So all this information you'll want to have filled in. That way your agent site will be ready to roll as soon as you're ready to get started. So really the two main things of getting set up to start doing the upgrade to it or editing it or changing anything is to always double check to make sure that you've upgraded to it. If not, make sure that you take stock of your custom pages and your landing pages. That way you can recreate them later on. And double checking your marketing profile here. So before I move on, are there any questions on what we've gone over so far? So far, we haven't even gotten into it. We just checked out the marketing profile here and making sure that's upgraded. Oh, very good. We've got a smart bunch, which is awesome. So now we're actually going to get into the thing. So once we go to the consumer tab, which is the last one at the very bottom, and we've upgraded, this is where we can edit our website. And then if you scroll down further, this is where we can change our subdomain. So I can change this to whatever I would like to, as long as it complies with local regulations and all that stuff. So I can't put starwars.kw.com. I'd probably get in trouble for copyright. But as I scroll through, I can change this to whatever I'd like to for my subdomain. If I wanted to have it Andrew Hicks real estate agent.kw.com, I could. And you can also choose to enable Keller Home Loans or Keller Covered on here as well, and display neighborhoods on the agent site, which I believe is super important and you always should. That way, your clients can take a look at neighborhood specific information. One more thing I want to go over, which we've had for a little while, is forced registration. So what forced registration is if I click on a link to go to your site and I click on a property, in order for me to see the details of that property, I'm going to have this set as unrestricted. You can give away a couple of freebie peeks at properties. I could set it so that there's no property viewing. So if I go to your website and try to look at some information about a property, it won't let me unless I register on your site, which in my opinion sometimes can be a little bit annoying. Two properties where I can look at two different properties without having to register. As soon as I try to look at that third one, it will force me to register to your site, which makes me become a lead. Then we have the option for 10 properties. So they can see 10 of them. On the 11th, they'll have to register. Or I keep mine at unrestricted. That way people can go through. You can change this to whatever you'd like to. My recommendation is honestly unrestricted. It just allows the consumers to browse a lot more information, and they can still reach out to you from your contact form on here. 10 properties, if they've gone through and looked at 10 already, they'll probably be okay with filling something out. So that could be a good option as well. So I do see that we do have a question. Um, so Realtor Carol, what do you got? And I may have to have Brett unmute.
Oh, I did. I think it's already been answered, but I'm in Michigan and I was wondering if for the new agent site, I have an LLC. So is it a good idea to use my LLC name for the agent site? Do you think?
That is a question that I wish I could answer. I'm not sure what the
Okay.
laws and stuff up there. I would say reach out to your market center tech trainer or your agent services director, and they'll be able to give you some advice on that part.
Okay. Thank
So new
you.
laws are weird, and I usually don't follow them, but I am doing that today because this is for KW. So here we go. So we can go in and we can now edit the website. So we're going to click on edit my website. And this is going to bring us to the new website builder. So you can see right off the bat, the user interface is completely different from the old site. And it may look really, really complicated at first glance, but it's actually incredibly powerful. So we added a lot of new features, a lot of things that people have been asking for. We decided to add it in here. But with those additional features and advanced features comes a little bit of complexity within just navigating it and editing it. But we're going to keep it as simple as possible for you. That way you can use it right out of the box and you can start to see the value with it. So the first thing is you can see it has your link right here. I can click on that to view it. Down below, I have my quick start options. So I have the ability to create a blog post. I can make a custom page, which is from the previous one, an agent site page. I can make a landing page for a specific lead source or for a specific property if I'd like to. I even have a template for a mortgage calculator that I could use and a template of why work with KW. And we'll go through some of those. It's just some content that's already created for you. That way you've got something to start off with if you'd like to create a couple of extra pages. So if you wanted to change any of the options on here, because this is really meant as just like a shortcut bar. So if you come into here and you post blogs every week, you want to make sure that your blog post tile is added onto there so you can quickly and easily edit or add or edit your blogs. To change the options on here, I can click on this customize button. And you can see I've got a couple of different options here. I can take some off. If I don't want to always see the ability to create an HTML mortgage calculator, I can uncheck that. If I don't always want to see this, I can uncheck that as well. I think it's important to know why you work with KW. I can click on this dashboard area here, and I can add in existing content. So if I have a custom page that I go in and edit and customize a lot, I can jump in there, add that onto there so that it shows up on my little main bar. So I'm going to hit save, and that would save any of those changes. So that's how you can create a quick and easy button to jump in and edit what you need to. So by default, the first thing you're going to want to do is edit your homepage. So the page that they show up on as soon as they click on your link. Let's take a look at mine real quick. And I'm going to do that by clicking on my URL here. And you can see I've got my new updated KW site. It looks a little bit prettier than the old one, I think. Your tagline may be a little bit different from mine. I don't actually sell any real estate. I just help find people who want to buy or sell and give them to our agents. So I can make mine as funny as possible because nobody's really coming to it. I'm just using it to teach. So dinosaurs are rad. And if anybody disagrees, I'm sorry. So first and foremost, you'll notice I have my home search widget here because the first thing that I want anybody to do is to be able to search for a home. That's the main thing that we sell in this industry. So I always want to make sure that that's first and foremost on my site. So as soon as somebody comes in, they can get right to it. If I scroll down even further, I've got my featured properties. Now you can see mine's a little bit funny. I probably should have changed this before I started teaching this class, but that's what we are. We can change that where it says houses probably to homes in your area or featured properties or great deals. You can add different listings into here. You can add whichever listings you'd like to if you wanted specific ones to show up in there in your featured area, or now you can make it change dynamically. So you can choose the attributes of the properties you want to show up on there. So they automatically refresh as those come on the market. You can choose it by bedrooms, by bathrooms. I chose it by price point. So if anybody is looking or has a client that needs any of these, please send that referral my way. Go ahead and scroll down a little bit. And you can see we have a blog area here. Now, by default, KW has provided several different blog posts for you already. There's a buying guide and there's a selling guide, but you can customize this and create your own content however you'd like to. So I'm going to scroll down through here. It's got a nice little blog area here. If I click on read more, it'll give me all the details for it. So is that something that you all wanted, a blog, a way to post articles and stuff and content? Very good, Realtor Carol. Heck yeah. And you can customize the blog posts that show up on there any which way you'd like to, and we'll get a little bit deeper into there. So if I scroll down further, we've got our contact me page, so our lead form. Anybody can put their information into here and it will add them directly into my command, and I can have it set to add them onto a smart plan so that you can get a text, an email. It's yelling at me and my team to call that person, all that fun stuff there. So I will scroll back up to the top here. So this is my home page, and we can edit and customize that however we'd like to. So let me just hide my floating meeting controls because I've got one screen since I'm a nomadic market center tech trainer. So here we are back at our website editor. This is where we can make all that magic happen. So the first thing you'll want to do is to edit this home page. If I click on home page here, this will allow me to start customizing it. You can see all those different modules here on the left. That follows exactly what my website looks like here. So the biggest change in our websites is now it's a CMS or content management system. So I can add all kinds of content into it ahead of time. I can add in any pictures, videos, articles that I like, and then I can even schedule those to go out as blog posts. I can have assets that I typically use for all kinds of things, blog posts, different websites, videos. I can have it stored on there so I can recall it later and add it to other pages or other content. So basically, you've got your website and you've got a whole bunch of little blocks that you can put into it to customize it however you'd like to. So you can see here, dinosaurs are rad, which is my listing search. If you click on any of these items here, it's going to expand it for further customization. And we're going to go through each and every one of them here. So I'm going to click on dinosaurs are rad. This is my listing search. And you can see this is where you can put in the title. Typically, you would want to put something about, find your dream home or I'm the best agent, whichever you'd like to. You can also add carousel videos, just like the last one. We have some wonderful pictures on here that you can use. If you want to add your own custom pictures or pictures that are specific to your area, you can absolutely do that just by removing them and adding new ones. I can upload files, I can add images onto it. The one thing that I do want to make very clear though, is do not just go to google.com and search for best house in Tampa and then pull the first image that shows up on there and put it as that carousel image or that hero image. Because if you don't own the rights to that photo, you can get into some really hot water very, very quickly. So always make sure that the images that you use were taken by you yourself, or you have permission to use them, or they're royalty free. There's a lot of websites that provide that information or that provide images that are high quality with no royalty fees or anything associated with it, free to use. One of them is called Pexels.com. That's Pexels.com. I know Brett had mentioned a couple of other ones as well. So feel free to go around the internet, find ones that are royalty free that you can use on there, and you can do that, or take them yourself. So I'm going to scroll through here. I'm just going to keep the default ones on here because I am not good at taking pictures, believe it or not. And that's where I can customize that. There's not a whole lot of customization for this very first tile because the main idea is that they're searching for homes there. You can change the images, the text on it. That's really about it. The next part where we have a little bit deeper customization is the featured listings. So on yours, it will say featured listings. I like to be smart, so I named it to houses probably. This is where you can choose to display it, or you can hide it and it will disappear from there. So you have the option to add that on there or hide it if you like to. And really for any of these options here, you can choose to display it or to keep it hidden. This is where you can change that title, featured listings. I'll go ahead and do that. And you can put in a description, which is that text that shows right down below it. This is where you can get into some really cool customization. So I can have it dynamically add listings, or I can do basic where I choose the listings myself. If I choose that basic option, I'm going to have to choose which listings show up on there, and they'll stay there until I remove them. So if they close or they go off the market or anything happens to them, they're still going to show up on there until I remove them. That's why I like using dynamic, because I don't like searching for listings all day or updating websites. I don't have time for that. And if I don't, then you absolutely don't either. So I typically keep it as dynamic. And you can choose the center point of where it's going to be pulling those listings from. You can choose the maximum number to display, the radius that it's going to pull those listings from. And we can choose how we sort it, whether it's the price, days on market, newest to oldest, recently updated, the price versus living area, all kinds of cool stuff here. I'm going to do days on site. I'm just going to keep it at the price, highest to lowest. Shoot for the stars. Now below there, this is where I can add in some featured listings if I wanted to. I can add in specific ones into that dynamic carousel, or what I like doing, which is easier, is to filter the listings. This is where I can choose the types of listings that are going to be displaying on there. So this is where I can choose if I want the ones that are rentals, that are sold, that are for sale, the status, the property type, I can choose how many bedrooms as a minimum, maximum, bedrooms, minimum, maximum, the size, the lot size, price, specific keywords. If I only wanted to have pool homes show up on here, I could put pool instead of that keyword list. That way, only homes within that price range that have a pool will show up in there. So I know a lot of my agents really wanted something that would automatically put some great listings on there, and we did it. So we can check that awesome box off. But really dynamic, the best way to go that way. You don't have to worry about updating it. Next part is the featured testimonials. So if you have any testimonials that you've added on here or your clients have given you, you can choose to add those in. This is also where you can add testimonials as well. So I'm going to have it display mine by default. You can hide them if you're like me and have really bad testimonials. I'm kidding. But you can put featured testimonials or whatever you'd like to. Description, what my clients are saying, or what people are saying about me. I wouldn't put that because I'm not that brave, but it's a nice little idea there. So you can choose dynamic or basic, the same thing as that featured listings thing. So I'm going to keep it as dynamic, and I'll just have it choose the most recently ones, the newly published date. I can have it filter by star rating, so I can have only my 5-star ratings show up on there. And this, if I click on this plus button, this is where I can add in the featured testimonials. If I had more of them on here, I could choose them, or I can create one directly from here as well. Say 5 stars. This part, pretty self-explanatory. This is where I can put in a testimonial. Andrew is the best. Anybody have any more of a testimonial for me? Let's see. I've not been reading the. Oh, Andrew is rad by the great Janelle. Thank you, Janelle. I appreciate that. I strive to be rad. Drew is rad. Not Andrew. And you don't have to put their first name and last name on there. You can keep it, you know, quiet on there. Champa Bay. Yes, I recommend me. You can fill in these details here. You can have your clients add testimonials to your site. It looks like I messed up. Oh, client since. New client to myself. There we go. Now, to save this, I always want to hit publish up here in the upper right. That will publish that testimonial. And anytime I make any sort of changes, you'll see over here to the right, it gives me the revision so I can see the history of what's happened and I can recall what my site was like at previous moments in time. So this little bar over here on the right with revisions, that's going to be a recurring star inside of our episode today. It's going to be on every page that you're editing. That way you can take a look and see what you've done and you can revert it if you make a mistake. So I've published that now. So I'm going to hit this back button here in the upper left. Now I can choose that feature testimonial, choose one that's not Andrew. And now that testimonial will show up right on there. You all probably have a lot more testimonials than I do. So you can choose the featured ones, or you can have it dynamically choose just the 5-star ones. That way they're always on there. Now the next part is the blog. So if I click on the blog area, I can choose to hide it from my homepage and have them select it from the link options here in the upper right if I wanted to. But I'm going to keep it on my homepage. That way people have a little bit of content to look through. The title is going to be, I believe by default, it is something like the buyer's guide. So you can have that on there. KW does a much better job of naming things. Blog about houses, probably not the best. Like I said, though, I don't really sell them. So down below is where I can choose how I want the blogs to show up on here. Now, in this specific area, I would typically recommend using basic. And what that does is I can choose the content that shows up on the very first page that people get to when they go to my site, which is this home page. I want to make sure that that content is always the best bit of content that I have, or why they should choose me, or a home buyer's guide, something that gives value to that person. So I would always recommend choosing basic. That way you can control exactly what they see as soon as they come to your site. And you can see here, if we did it dynamically, we could choose by the newest published date, how many we want to display, and we can also add our featured ones on here as well. And I could add additional ones by clicking that little plus button. And I could search through all the different blogs that I've created here. And this is where that content management system piece comes in. So you'll notice this looks a lot more complex than the old agent sites. Does anybody think? It's way, way different. And it looks a lot more complex. However, it's really easy. This is just content that I've already created or content that's already on my page. So if I wanted to add in a house, looks like I did a blog post here on the Tampa housing inventory. I could click on that, and it's just going to put that blog post that I already created in that featured list. This is all just content that I've created previously. And if I wanted to create a brand new one, I could click on new, and we'll be doing that in just a little bit. So once I'm done choosing the content I want, I can hit this little X in the upper right. And there we go. Now I have my Tampa housing market one that will show up under the read more area if they expand it. So like I mentioned, this over here on the left-hand side is where you can choose which module on the website you want to edit. In the middle is the preview that's going to update in real time as you make those changes. And then over to the right, the revisions and the URL for it. And I can also change what this looks like by clicking on here. So I can test it on mobile, tablet, desktop, all that stuff there. Once I've made my changes or I have my homepage organized the way that I want to, I can click on save in the upper right. And that's saved. Now, when you first start your website, you have access to all of these modules. They're already pre-configured in a pretty great way, but that's just a little bit of how you can customize your main website, which I think is great. So I'm going to click on return to dashboard here. And this is also going to be key because I know there's a lot of buttons and it looks really busy, but at its core, it's a content management system. It is pretty basic. We're going to go right back to the dashboard to get to our most commonly used options, which is right here. Before I move on, just to recap, so far we talked about how to upgrade your agent site, what to look out for, how to edit your marketing profile, how to edit your homepage for your website. And now we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the more advanced features, as well as our landing pages, our custom sites, and how to change the colors of your website. So before I move forward, are there any questions? I'll take maybe one or two because we are on a time crunch. Anybody have any questions? Concerns? Any funny jokes? Oh, looks like I made Brett not the co-host anymore. Let me just do that real quick. There you go, Brett. You are now a co-host.
Thank you,
Oh.
sir. There was actually a question. You were in a specific spot where you talked about static versus dynamic, and they just wondered why.
Oh, so for the featured listing part,
I'm pretty
Yes.
sure that's what it was.
yes. So for the featured listings, I can choose to have it dynamically update with the newest listings or whatever criteria I want. If I wanted static, that would be if I wanted to choose, two specific listings that always show up on my page because I've had them on the market for 3 years and nobody's buying them, and I want to push those in front of everybody. Basically, you would be responsible for updating those properties every single time. It wouldn't update automatically for you. Very good. All right. And it looks like Chris, yeah, we should have time to answer. What do you got, Chris? Or I think that may have been the question. All right, rad. Is everybody still with me? I know that was probably the longest time that I'll talk without taking a breath. And I love that people are helping answer questions in the chat because I actually can't see the chat. I can't read. This is all from memory. So
Andrew, Chris was muted, so he's unmuted now. I think he still has a
Yeah.
question.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no, so I was actually curious on the site itself, the featured property listing on the modules, it's showing my current market center here in Massachusetts. but then the featured listings, even though the module reflects Mass, it's pulling from my other market center in Georgia. I wanted to know, is there anything that I need to cross-reference on the back end that may be pulling these listings, where these listings may be pulling from?
I believe so. We'll have to take a look at that. That's going to be a specific thing, and we can check
Okay,
into that
no
with you.
problem.
Or the simplest explanation is your market center's got a wormhole to the one in Georgia, and that's why it's showing up.
Gotcha.
But we'll figure that out for sure for you.
No worries. Thank
All right, so we will jump into some of the more cool stuff here. So what I'll do is I'm going to show you how you can change the colors of your website. So the main theme of your website, it's always been the same static red and white. We can now change that. To do that, if we click on the three little lines here in the upper left, right next to KW, that's the menu, we can go to admin or organization site. So this is going to be basically the options for our entire site as a whole. So no matter which module, which page I'm on, this is where I can edit the look and feel of it. So if I want to think of an overall change to the entire site itself, I'm going to think menu, organization site. So I'm going to click right here on organization site. And you can see the name here is Champa Bay Real Estate. You can change this to whatever you'd like to. By default, I believe it's Andrew Hicks, Keller Williams Realty, whatever city I'm in, but that's where you can change it. The theme is where we can add some different colors into it. So if I click on where it says KW theme default here, I've got this drop down, and I know the options as of right now are pretty limited. We've got slate light and slate dark. It's a start. We will, from what I understand, we will be adding additional color customization to it. But if I'm tired of seeing the typical normal KW theme, I can make it look a little bit different. So I'm just going to change it to slate dark. And if I scroll down below, I can see my subdomain. If I have a specific URL that I want to use for it, my own custom domain, I can choose that in here. Your market center name, your agent or rainmaker name. And if any of you use Google Analytics or run pay-per-click ads, we now have Google Analytics tracking. And this works. It is wonderful. If you don't know how to use Google Analytics, reach out to your market center tech trainer and they can walk you through some of it. Basically, I can see where people are going to my site, what they're clicking on, how they got there, how much time they're spending. It's wonderful. So definitely a great tool. And I'll be sending you an article on how to set that up as well. This navigation provider, this is going to be that bar that's along the top that shows my links, the home, about us, blog, profile that shows up along the top. I can create my own custom one if I wanted to. So if I wanted to drop down with everything about sellers, what sellers would need, a drop down for everything what buyers would need, I could create that within here. Now, I'm not going to go through and create that right now because we just don't have the time to, unfortunately. But I will be sending you articles that will show you how to do that. And you can reach out to your market center tech trainer, or if I'm your market center tech trainer, reach out to me and I can help you. And that is where you can change the colors, change the name of your site, all of that information, your Google tracking ID, that's where you can add that in there. Any quick questions on that piece there? I saw some stuff coming up in the chat. Let's see. Easy way to edit the navigation of the tab at the top. That's exactly what we were talking about there, the navigation provider. You can make your own custom one, or you can use the normal organization one, which just lists all your pages there. And the team pages thing, it is coming out very soon. It was supposed to be this Monday. However, we've bumped it back a little bit more. I'm not going to say any dates because if I say a date, it's going to get delayed again. So very, very, very soon. And it is pretty rad. We'll be doing more trainings on that when it comes out. So I'm going to click on save here. So that saves my color changes and anything that I've made here. And again, that return to dashboard button is always going to be your friend when you want to get back to the main website building area. So I'm going to hit return to dashboard. And here I am. If I wanted to create a new landing page or a custom page, I could choose it from my quick start here, or I can always click on this plus button up here at the very top, and I can choose any type of content that I want to create. I can also add in my featured vendor partners as well, which we'll go over in a moment. But what we're going to do first is we're going to start off with our custom page. So if I click on custom page, this is where I can start designing that page. So let's say if I wanted to make a page that has information about Tampa, let's say I want to have a Tampa specific link at the top of my page. We'll say all about Tampa, the best city. No offense to any other cities. The internal name is going to be what you see whenever you're looking at your website. So whenever you're looking into the back end of your site here, like we are now, this is where you can name it something to remember. So if I wanted to have like a kind of a shorter name for it, I can say Tampa page or Tampapa. So the next part is the page header. This is where I can choose the page heading. And that's going to, whenever we have our team sites, it's going to look a little bit different. So that's what that part's going to be for. I can hide the title of my page if I want to, or I can have it on here. Now, since I changed my color scheme for my website, it looks like it's not showing what I want it to here. So what I will do very quickly is I will change that back. That way we can see the way I intended it to be. So I can go through and change the text color and the font stuff. However, I do not have time to do that currently, so I'm going to revert it back to the default theme and hit save. And I'll go back to my dashboard. And again, to create a custom site or a landing page, I can do it for my quick start or this plus button up here. I'm going to choose custom page. And here we go, Tampa Bay, the best city. There we go. And you can see that title stays up there. Rename my internal one. I can choose to hide the title if I want to. I can add a background image into it. So if I wanted to add a picture of Tampa in here, I could just click on here to choose my background image. And since this is the content management system, these are all the pictures that I've added into here before. Don't know who that person is. That just kind of came on mine someday. But if I wanted to use this one, let's say I added this one on here previously, I could just choose that. Or if I wanted to upload one, I could upload an image directly from here as well by clicking on new. It moves out of here, and you can see now it's got that image with that kind of darked out area and makes it look nice and cool for you. You can put anything you'd like to on there as long as you have the rights to that image or you took it yourself. Now that's going to be just the title page. If I wanted to remove that, I could just do hide title. That way, if I wanted to add the modules in to get content, get them straight to it. So for the page contents, I'm going to click on add module. And this is where we can add stuff into our website. So all the really cool stuff. If I want to add a lead form, I can, a testimonial page. So I'm just going to go, we're going to start with all of them. So rich text, what that means is that I can type in whatever I'd like to. I can add images, photos, links, basically what you can do in your word processor, you can do on your website. A stat list, which is amazing. So if I wanted to put in the market stats for my area, I could choose this stats page and I could edit them to change them however I'd like to. If I wanted my own stats, I could put them on there as well. Can add my testimonials. I could put in a video module, so I can link a YouTube video directly into it. So I can link to my other content and other sources directly from here. I can have a form, so I can add a lead form in there, or for the advanced users, I also have the option to do an HTML embed and an iframe embed, which I know has been very popular for several different types of content. And for these, we won't go over it today, obviously. Reach out to your Market Center Tech trainer or your regional tech trainer, and they can help out with it. If I wanted to add a lead form, I could just click on form. And this looks pretty familiar to you, I'm sure. This is the same way that I edited my homepage. So I can just click into here. Got my contact me form right there. And I can continue to add different modules to my page. So if I wanted to make a page that was specifically about how I do my listings and my numbers, basically a pre-listing website, I could create that right here. If I wanted to add another module with my stats, I could choose this either stat list A or stat list B. You can see in the preview, it will update with the actual stats on there. And I can add those stats in. So I could say, how cool is Andrew? The value is 900% very clearly. And you can see that shows up right down below. I can add multiple stats. I can make these stats whatever I'd like to. So I could say average days on market, 0.5 because I am that good. Anything you'd like to on there, you can add. Very, very awesome. You can have a call to action to an internal website or an external website. So if they click on that, it can take them to a specific web page, whether it's inside of your KW site, another custom page, or if it's to a web page outside of it, you can have them click on it and it'll take them directly to there. So I can add these stats in as many as I'd like to. If I wanted my stats to show up above that contact form, I can just drag that and drop that above here. Usually. Sorry. There we go. So yep, I can drag and drop. I can move those around just like on the home page editing. Can move those to whichever way I'd like to there. So this is a custom page that I can make. I can add in all kinds of information, featured listings, all of that stuff directly in here. So before we move on, any questions on the custom page? Sorry, our team meeting just let out, so I think it's getting a little bit loud out there if you all can hear it.
Andrew, I don't see any questions. I think we got them handled in the chat. But if there is anything, if you want to raise your digital hand.
Awesome. Questions, concerns, funny jokes? All right. Well,
Why did
while
the
we're moving
dinosaur
on to the
cross
next
the
part.
road?
Oh, so I actually do have a funny joke, and it's what is a house's favorite article of clothing?
I don't know. What, Andrew?
A dress. It's good, I know, right? So that
I
is the
have a
custom-
sound effect for that.
Oh no. So I'm going to go ahead and publish this page. There we go. So now it's going to be showing up on my agent site. I'm going to go back to return to dashboard and let's go over the landing pages because that's a very important section, I believe. If you are getting leads coming in, you definitely want to have a landing page for them based on that lead source or whatever ad or whatever call to action you have. You want that landing page. If you want a landing page specifically for a listing, this is where you go to as well. So I'm going to choose landing page from right here. And you can see here, this is the first thing that we always want to do is make sure that there's a link to it specifically. So right now, my link is andrewhicks.kw.com/00018 blah, 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 blah. Nobody can remember that. If I wanted to have it, andrewhicks.kw.com/123 Main Street, I could click on add and do my agent sites here. And the permalink, that means that it's always going to be on there, so I don't have to worry about it changing. And I'm just going to type that in here. So let's say 123 Main Street. So now, once I save this and I put my content in, Somebody goes to andrewhicks.kw.com/123 Main Street, it will have that listing that I'm going to be promoting on here. And we'll kind of design this page with that in mind. So for the title, same thing as the custom pages area, do 123 Main. The internal name, that works just as well for me. Description, this is a great listing. Buy it now, thanks. You'll think of something more creative, more attractive, since you're all the better realtors. This is where I can choose the same thing for the page heading. Again, that's going to be useful whenever you have a team. And I can add an image on there. So if I wanted to add an image of the home, I could put that as that background. But this is where I can put in the modules. Same thing as the custom site. Can click on add module. I can put in neighborhood stats, testimonial list, a video of the property if I wanted to, a form, HTML embed or iframe embed. In this case, I think I'm going to do rich text module. That way I can show off my listing. So I'm going to choose rich text module. And just the information on the home here. This is the rich text editor. Now it looks kind of puny and there's not a whole lot to it, but there actually is. So you can always click on this little box thing, the toggle full screen editing button. Not sure what the scientific name is for it, but if I click on toggle full screen editing, this looks suspiciously like Microsoft Word or any other word processor. This is where I can type in text. This listing is great. I can format the text. I can make it a heading, or I can underline it there. I can select it and I can make it a link by selecting the text. I can choose link, so I can link an internal website, another page on my in my site, or an external link. I can add in images if I wanted to. So if I wanted to add an image, a gallery of images, so if I wanted to put in a bunch of images for my listing in there, I can, or one main image can do that. Can add a bulleted list, a video playlist, a specific video, or I could embed HTML into it as well. This add button is not functional currently, but you can kind of see where we're headed there. So if I wanted to add an image, I can choose image. And I can do add item, and that familiar CMS screen comes up. I can put whatever I need to in there. So I can upload an image. Let's go ahead and grab this one here. I could upload additional ones. I can put a caption for it, an alt text, which is important, especially if you're working with SEO. You want to make sure there's always alt text. And this is going to be what that image is. Credit to the image, image enhancement. You can see there's a lot of stuff that you can do here. So I'm just going to do save and close. And here's my image. So I can edit that stuff. I can change it. I can add in a carousel of pictures. I can add a table into here. Basically anything you can do in a word processor, you can do within here. So there's tons and tons of options to customize it. So I'm going to go ahead and get out of this full screen area, and I can click on that little toggle full screen editing button, and I can publish this page now, or I can schedule it to be published at a specific date by clicking on that calendar. So you can see I've got andrewhicks.kw.com/123 Main Street. If we go to that website, whoops, I did not do the right thing here. Bear with me just a moment. And looks like I have two of them on there. I'm going to remove that. Now, when we go to that site, I've got that image that I put on there. You can see this is what it's going to look like. So again, those landing pages are active now for you, which was just released Tuesday. So those custom pages as well. And I know that we're running a little bit short on time here, but again, to get back to the main editing area, I can always, after I publish, use that return to dashboard button. That'll bring me right back home. So are there any questions on what we've gone over? I know we went over a lot of content for just an hour, especially starting at the very beginning, but just to do a quick recap, we went and edited our marketing profile to make sure all the information is up to date. We double checked to make sure we didn't have any custom pages or landing pages that we wanted to, save, copy, and recreate on this new one. We upgraded our website experience, edited the homepage, created a custom site, created a landing page, and we went over the different customization options and just kind of the new feel to the content management system we have now. So any questions, concerns, funny jokes anybody has?
There's been plenty of jokes. Plenty of jokes.
Good.
Questions I think have been answered.
Wait, I need all the jokes because I steal these and use these in all my classes.
Plaid Dad, our buddy Bill, was jumping in there with some jokes. Your lady had some jokes for us.
Very good. Yeah, very cool. So those helpful articles, those are going to have all of the information that I went over, plus a lot more, much more in-depth and detail, very step-by-step. That's going to be your best resource to start with. So I would say just jump in and start playing with it. You can't really break it. And if you do break it, reach out to your Market Center tech trainer and we can help get you back on track.
Andrew, there was a question. Hold on, because it jumped away from me here. Where did it go? Is there a way to make command act like market leader? For example, market leader would send out listings to my contacts about 3 times a week. Those are going to be your saved searches, right, buddy?
Oh yeah, yep. Your saved searches or your biweekly neighborhood nurture, which I would say that's probably the monthly neighborhood nurture is the smart plan that you want people to be on. Everybody in your database should be on it because it's sending out information directly to them that's localized, that's valuable to them. And if they click on it, you can see that they clicked on it. If they click on a listing, you can see that they clicked on that specific listing. We've done cold emails with those and gotten listings from, which is absolutely free. Oh, and I've got one of our awesome agents that is amazing. I'm sorry, I'm teaching a class. I love you. You're awesome. Anyway, but yeah, I recommend everybody being on that. But yeah, the save searches would be the equivalent to market leaders, updated what you said.
Any question about the recording? Yes, I'll post that again. It is in throughout the chat, but I will post that again. And I think that's it.
Yeah. All right. I appreciate all of you for showing up today and learning a little bit. Did anybody not update to the agent site before they came to this class? All right. Are you going to update to it today? Here, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. That way I can see more people. Oh, wow. There's a lot of people. How many people are in here?
Bro, you've consistently had 80. We were almost 100 at one point. Everybody loves
nice.
Andrew.
Yeah. So if you enjoy this training and you would like more, there's more coming because it's the 12 days of Christmas, 12 business days of Christmas. So you'll be getting more, one each day at 2 o'clock. If you need any help or have any questions or want to join any of my trainings or any resources, feel free to email me. My email address is, try to change the chat to send out to everybody, but you can put it in there. It's andrewhicks@kw.com. Very simple. Happy to help out, but always reach out to your Market Center tech trainer. And if you don't have a Market Center tech trainer, tell your leadership you want one, and they'll find somebody cool just like me. But yeah, good to see all your fun faces. Hopefully I see you all at family reunion coming up. It's going to be rad.
There's more of you.
I also sent you the link so that I know you were going to want to share some of this stuff. If you put it in that folder, it'll also go to the folder that's on the site. The same thing.
Oh, sweet. Janelle, thank you so much. Janelle's the most amazing person in the world. She put all this together and Tech the Halls together.
with a lot of help with Brad, Peter, Brandon, Mesh, so many people. So yes, thank you so much, Andrew.
But you're still the best.
And yes, she does look very Christmassy.
Mm. Somebody mentioned deck the tech earlier. That was amazing. I'm gonna make an event around that.